Neil, would you like to come to the platform in London? And Fernando, it's nice to see you. We will look forward to hearing from you as part of this presentation.
Thank you very much, David. And can I have the microphone, the other microphone? It's not working. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, it's my pleasure to talk to you today. And I'm lucky that I'm talking to you on the third day of the conference. So I think now the picture starts to be completed for to everyone. I would like to come my colleague Fernando. Hi, Fernando. How are you?
Very well. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Can you hear me well?
Can you tell us where are
You're we're still having the audio problem. I don't know if you can hear me well.
You are when you were standing there when you first got there, you did great. We could hear everything. So if you could just stay, don't go closer, just talk to me.
Sure. Okay. So Fernando, can you tell us
No,
about
you need to
the audio?
move. Sorry.
Back?
Yes,
this
okay. So go to the right just to talk to me because it was doing really well. We're going to get this right because you can't co-present unless we get it right. So
How about now? How about
Yes.
now?
great.
Perfect.
This is fantastic. Do not look at the screen because then it doesn't catch your thing and Fernando can't hear you. So I
Okay.
apologize for all of the sound today.
And
No
can you
worries.
hear me
Thank you
well?
very much.
We can hear
So
you
Fernando,
just fine.
my
Perfect.
question to you. My question to you, can you just introduce yourself? Where are you from?
Sure.
Very quick.
That's a very long question where I'm from, but I'm physically in Tampa, Florida. But I'm from this part of the Atlantic, the Americas, the Caribbean originally.
Okay, good, great. Now, my question to everyone who are attending online and who are here in London, can you think about how you can summarize the 3 days? We are in the third day. We are towards the end of the conference. What do you think about higher education in just 2 words? So I will invite everyone who are attending online to just put in the chat what you are thinking now about higher education. What are the key outcomes from this conference? And I would like to hear also from the people who are sitting here. So what is in your mind? Please. Okay, change, internationalization, and collaboration. Thank you. Who else would like to share your thinking? Let's see how the thinking now reshaped. One more at least from that side. Okay, Fernando, anyone putting anything in the chat?
I'm seeing fruitful sessions, building personalities.
Okay. What else? I want good conclusion.
I read
Okay.
innovation, Samira, and Dalia says, hopefully a far more integrated interdisciplinary approach to education, focusing on building human capital. Nabila.
Okay, thank you to everyone. Now, let me tell you what's different in our presentation. Now, we have seen lots of ideas and we are in the third day. Myself, I'm coming from a university with my colleagues, Dr. Reem. So we are working at the university. The pandemic attacked the world and we started reacting to what happened. So we are coming from where? From the place that is very critical and it needs to really react strongly to what's happening. Now, we heard a lot about what universities should do, correct? But the big question, how the universities can do what people are saying they should do. Is that easy? Okay. Now, what universities should do according to the outcome of this conference? What we need to do? Is it a little change? Is it a big change? Is it radical change? Is it about re-engineering the higher education? Is it about reshaping, reinventing? See, the type of words we are using to explain what we need to do. Is that easy to do from universities' perspectives? Who can lead this type of change? Can you think about these questions? Can universities be really agile and move from a way that they are teaching students for really long time in person into a very different style that needs different skills, different technology, different way? Can that happen easily? What do you think? How can universities leaders lead the change at the university, convince all teaching staff to do things differently, really significantly different? Is this now, if I ask you, is this easy exercise from leadership perspective? Who will say it's easy? Just raise your hand. No one. Who say it's difficult or too difficult? Is it difficult or too difficult or complicated? Doable? Okay. Here, optimistic view. Good. Can you think now what leaders at universities is facing? Now, the question that myself and Fernando will try to respond to: how to lead the change from inside the university, with the students, with instructors, with teaching staff, with the admin staff, with everyone working at the university. Okay, is that interesting exercise? Now, my colleague Fernando
Yes.
will talk about myself and him, how we introduce, how we know each other. Fernando?
Yes, I think it's because of the conference and the things that were mentioned yesterday about the future being hybrid. This presentation is an example of that. We have not met. We have been virtual colleagues and friends for about a year. I have been in Chile all this time, and he's in Bahrain, and we put together this presentation even to the last minute, even trying to integrate the conversations that have been happening in the last two days. So is an example, a tribute to an intention to take advantage, leverage the power of technology, think of common issues, regardless of our physical, cultural backgrounds and where we are in the world. We come to a consensus in what we see and our concern for solutions for higher education, for having impact from at the cellular level at the university, which is what happens inside the classroom. Because everything else, we can look at macro statistics and numbers and trends, what have you, but the real innovation happens inside the classroom. And this is what this presentation is about. I don't know if we, probably in the interest of time, we won't go through this exercise, but you can respond in chat to 2 questions and use number 1, 2, and 3 for the different answers, which is especially those, everyone online, which is it's a larger share of the participants of this event. Type number 1 if you believe that in your immediate future at your institution, things will just return to normal, what used to be the old normal. Two, if you believe that you will be living in an extended hybrid environment. And three, if you believe that this will be the opportunity for the institution to expand its offer into the digital and distance learning environment. So just respond to in the chat, one, two, or three. Check in the audience, Jamil, if what's the take on the audience who physically meeting there in London.
Sure, Fernando. Who would like to respond to this question?
Just a raise of hand, just to make it quicker. Yeah, like who in the
Anyone?
room? Lift your hand, raise your hand in the room if you believe option one. Then you
Okay,
go.
raise your hand if you believe option one.
What's the biggest trend?
So no one, option one, Fernando. Option two.
Option two.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3. Good. Option 3.
Option three.
It seems.
And please,
Okay.
I don't see many responses on the chat room, so we need our online remote participants to also be present with this. And the second question, which we'll leave it for, you can respond also in the chat, but we can give you actually, could you please, Missy, if you could post all the links that I share with you? There will be a links to this Mentimeter and other resources that we want to share. So in the interest of time, make sure I don't forget that we can share those contents. So we'll skip that because we have, again, in the interest of time, things that we want to talk about. But in response to your question, Jamil, you want to comment about this and the trends that were in that time?
You go ahead. Go ahead, Fernando. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is already statistics from the World Bank regarding the expectations of whether institutions would migrate to a virtual environment or go back to face-to-face versus online. And I can see already that these data is becoming dated because I just asked a similar question just about a week ago on LinkedIn. And obviously my sample and the number of people that responded is relatively less than probably those included in this study. Nonetheless, the majority of individuals responding envision that the institution will remain and will expand its hybrid options, meaning having face-to-face offers, but yet not going fully back to the classroom, everyone, but continuing to benefit from the face-to-face. From the remote environment as well. And this is where we want to get to, which is really the core of our conversation, this metaphor, which is, in essence, we have a long tradition of institutions that have been on the left-hand side, have climbed to the mountain of being a robust face-to-face institution offering face-to-face instruction. And we have the opportunity now, it's not new, but worldwide institutions were forced to discover this new option of digital learning, and were able to at least sustain or complete their academic years last year based on that. So the question before is like, do we want to, it's like, assume that the pandemic is getting over, therefore we just go back to business into the face-to-face environment? Or now that the window has been opened, we realize that there's a whole world, there's a totally different opportunity to migrate into a different environment. Jamil,
Okay,
you want
Fernando, can you go back to the last?
This one?
Here, we invite you all, when you go back to your universities, to immediately establish a dialogue among all community in your university and ask this critical question. Do we need to continue doing what we used to do, or we need to change? A critical decision needs to be taken at the university level by involving everyone, and particularly students. And then you need to look closely on what's happening all around the world, and decision should be taken. Now, if you decided you should change, then the story will start. Correct? Now, many questions will be raised here. How you will manage the change? How you will enable instructors to really change? How you will involve students? What you are going to do? Now, I will share with you some good observations that myself and Dr. Reem have seen at Bahrain Polytechnic. Okay, so I'm going to share some practice. Okay, now when you say to people, particularly teaching staff, please try to use another mode of teaching. You will see majority of them saying, we are fine. The way we are doing things is working. We are doing fantastic job. Why you want us to change? Okay? Then you will see resistance. That's what you need to do at this stage. You need to search for examples. You need to search for first mover. You need to search for who? For people who are willing, for energetic people. What you need to do with these people? Just work with them closely, enable them. Let them discover by themselves how wonderful is the digital mode of study. Let them discover by themselves the advantages. And then let exemplar people to be seen by others. And tell everyone at the university how wonderful are these people. Is that great? Next, let them share their practice. Let them tell others how the online move help them to minimize their effort, okay, to make learning really more engaged, to use the open resources. Now, what will happen at the university? You will have very little people who are really willing and they have seen how wonderful are this move. Then you will have many people joining this club, correct? Correct? And a very important part will be the students, because who will work with you nicely here? Students, because the students, they love the digital age. Why? Because they born during time that we had the digital tools and they really like this. So students at the front and let them lead the way they want to be studied. Is that a wonderful model? Correct? And then you have your teaching staff who are really happy with this model. Keep telling nice stories at your university. Engage parents. Share the nice stories with the society. Okay? Make really good stories. Can you imagine how the community at the university will look like? Can anyone describe how the culture will be at this time? People will be happy. They have seen good practices. They have seen a change in the way we do things, and they are discovering opportunities. Right? When people put effort, if they see that things working well with them, correct? Other people are seeing them and looking at them saying, oh, how wonderful using digital, correct? See, this is the lessons that we need to talk about from universities. Yes, technology is important, content is important, but if you give me 2 million videos and my instructors not believing in that, can we implement them? We will have them, but no one will use them. And if you go to any universities now and technology infrastructure, you will see massive tools. But will people put them into practice? That's the critical question. When people will put them into practice, if they believe in them. So let me conclude my comments here. If you want to move, can you go back to your mountain?
Back to the mountains. Okay. Let me see.
So moving from this level into the next level, it's so hard, not easy. And universities who will not take this step, what will happen to them in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years? What do you think? Can anybody give me this? Do you think they will disappear in how many years? Very soon. Okay, so let's go for it and let's start from now, not from tomorrow even. Correct? Back to you, Fernando.
Yeah, let me fast forward. You can download in actually in one of the links that I provided in the share. You can download the whole presentation. But let me fast forward to this list that we collected. Things that you can do, practical things that you could do when you go back to your institutions. Things that you want to do less of, and things that you want to do more of. Less of is hoping that this will go away. It will not go away, and that you assume that this is business as usual, and then you can offer digital learning and distance learning just as you were adding just one more course, one more program. It's a totally different paradigm. It's a totally different ball game. So there are different rules, and you have to engage with those. And that, especially the last item about the about leadership, you can delegate to someone else, to a department, to a person. Oh yes, go ahead and take care of the online learning. But as learners, we need to lead by example. So we need to get in. We need to understand what this new world is, uh, in order to lead more effectively. So, what do you want to do? You don't want to reinvent the wheel. So, search for best practices. 20 years ago, not now, not last year, 20 years ago, I was already working for a fully online university with 50,000 students in Minneapolis, at Capella University. More than 20 years ago. And some institution just discovered this whole field last year as a result of the pandemic. So there's no reason to start from the beginning, from scratch, where there's so much history, there's so much best practices available. So look for people that are doing for faculty, for administrators who are early adopters and recognize their work. I was happy to see yesterday, because one of the points here that I'm talking about is transforming your institution into an innovation lab. And this is one of the examples that we saw yesterday, one of the presentations, precisely how this professor, and usually use those terms itself, to using the university as for innovation and practicing and trying things, trial and errors. So please go. I want to say again, because I'm running out of time, I want to invite you to make use of a resource that I created for a different for the MENA conference about several months ago. It's still open, so you can still make use of it. And there's a document in here that might be useful to some institutions, which is a scorecard for an institutional digital strategy. So, what things you want to consider as you move from the fully face-to-face environment into try to imagine what that learning strategy may look like in a digital environment. And I sort of gathered some indicators, practices, share with many colleagues before I generated this version. So go to this link and you will find access to this and many other resources, including standards for the design of quality online courses provided by the organization Quality Matters in the U.S. So time is short, and that's why I provided all the links. You can follow up with us also on LinkedIn, please, so we can continue this dialogue. Back to you, Jamil.
Okay, thank you. Now, last sentences. Let's close this session. How we can close it? What we should do now? The hard work should start, I think, in the MENA region, in the whole world, and we should really change the way we do things for better learning, for better future for our student, better for our society. And I hope that we meet shortly in another conference And we see, David, good stories happening from universities. I would like to see some teachers coming here saying, I have implemented the digital and I discovered that it is helping students to become more creative. It's helping students to be critical thinker. It's helping students to be good citizen. Correct? These examples. Thank you, David. Thank you, Fernando.
Well, thank you very much. And I just want to modify your suggestion. And yes, we'd very much welcome teachers coming back, but the people I'd welcome even more would be the students. I would welcome the students coming back, talking about the effect that it had on them, because I think collectively we can learn a lot from